Daydreaming his way down to the ferry landing and back was more like it. Sean gazed at the photo, smiling at the memory of trying to teach Eileen how to throw a frisbee. She was a klutz then, and had never really grown out of it. He kissed the screen. Please let them be okay. Sean turned his attention to a hot shower. There was a lot to do if he wanted to get on the road quickly. Kevin raised Anya's perfectly manicured hand to his lips and kissed it gallantly. Then he slipped her hand into the pocket of his jacket, and they sat side by side on the promenade bench that had become their favorite meeting place. They liked to risk discovery by hiding in plain sight, since running into each other on a slightly drunken 4th of July. So what's on your agenda today? Sean and I are doing a walk-through with the Court Street client. Thanks again for that referral. If everything goes smoothly, we'll be starting the job in 2 weeks. Big bucks? Very big bucks. What we have here is the best of circumstances. A clear calendar at Doyle Contracting meets the deep pockets of a co-op board that wants a new lobby in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. That's premium rates. I love a client in a hurry. She brushed away the clump of hair that had fallen from the top of his head to the bridge of his glasses. Smug is not an attractive look on you. He blushed. No, I don't suppose it is. They teased and flirted until Kevin's phone sprang to life. We've been found out, he said, winking at Anya. He took the call to the promenade railing. When he turned back to face Anya, the morning's joy was gone from his face. What, Kevin? What is it? Kevin shoved his phone in his pocket and held Anya's hand once more. He filled her in on what little he knew as they walked together in the direction of Pineapple Street. They said their goodbyes at the corner, and he made a beeline for number 22. Chapter 2. After making her way through security, Kate wandered around the airport waiting for her flight, watching others waiting for their flights. She had been living in Miami for 6 years, but she still felt a little out of her element. Flats fishing in the Florida Keys, a hobby pursued at every semester break and more than a few weekends, was the extent of her acclimation to South Florida. Mostly, she counted the days until she could return to civilization, which for her meant New York. A life slightly on hold, but hardly unlived. She had joined the academic ranks over a decade ago and done everything possible to position herself for a job back in New York. But those jobs were hard to come by. She was still biding her time teaching in Miami, giving talks at conferences around the globe, and publishing. She ran at a pace that was envied by many, and it had to be said, resented by some. She had hoped for years that something would open up in the city so she could get back to the place that made the most sense to her. But here it was, another new year recently begun. She couldn't believe January was already over, even if just barely, and a New York return was no closer to being a possibility than it had been the year before or the one before that. She found a payphone, unbelievably, and dug a phone card out of her tote. This was one of those rare moments she wished she hadn't ditched her cell phone. The last in a long line of things she had been told she needed, but decided she didn't. It wound up in the kitchen junk drawer with a bunch of stuff that cut her fingers whenever she reached in there. Sean picked up on the first ring. Kate, I got through to the hospital, but they wouldn't say more than that Eileen and Eric had been in a car accident. Rules about what they can and can't say on a phone, I guess. He paused, and Kate could hear him exhale. They didn't say anything about Molly being admitted, though. We are now pre-boarding the 9 o'clock flight to Burlington at Gate 7, was her cue to follow the sunburned visitors heading to the snowy north. Sean, I have to go. They just called my flight. I'll call you from Vermont. She walked down the tunnel
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.